What's going on, everyone? Thank you for coming to watch. So I've got an update for you guys on tropics. So I'm here in our evening update. I apologize about the glitchiness in the audio in the morning update I did today. I don't know why that's going on, but it's happened before. So I'm just going to hope that it doesn't happen with this video. But right now we are looking at two ongoing tropical cyclones. We have Hurricane Leigh, which is going to be the main topic of this video, and then we also do have Tropical Storm Margot, which has also been staying with us for a pretty long time. Leigh is now passing over the Lesser Antilles and Puerto Rico, so it's getting very close. You guys are probably feeling some of the outer bands of the system as I speak, but right now Leigh is Category 3 hurricane with sustained winds at around 115 miles an hour. And so we also do have two new tropical waves, that are coming off the coast of Africa. We have, this is near the West African coastline, so this is pretty much right into here. Where this X is, this is Future Invest 98L, I believe. Right now has a 30% chance of development throughout the next 7 days. But the environmental conditions appear generally conducive for gradual development of the system as it moves west to northwestward at around 15 to 20 miles per hour. So it's going to be moving in a direction kind of like this. All right. And so I think we got to watch this system. But both these systems, one of these two systems, I think has a chance to become a hurricane. I've been looking at the models lately, and we've been seeing some pretty good confidence that these are going to form into some sort of tropical cyclone. But again, we'll continue tracking all of them, but we'll mainly look at Leigh for this video. Okay, so here we go. We got Leigh right here showing up pretty good on our satellite imagery right now. All right, so the reason why you didn't see much, I would say, I guess, much exciting looks to Leigh on the last infrared satellite is because Leigh was actually going through a what we call this is a eye replacement cycle, where it was after it squeezed through those two it starts squeezing through that area of unfavorable conditions. It tries to redevelop that eye, and that's going to take a lot of weakening off from the system. But now you can see that eye is slowly coming back, and we have some sort of eye kind of in this region, this area, I should say, right here, okay? Once we get to here, we'll probably have another Category 4 hurricane on our hands, and I think we're going to see some more satellite imagery looking a lot better than it is now. But this is a very strong storm still. I mean, this would look like a high-end one would think this is a high-end Category 1 hurricane, but it's actually a monster Category 3 hurricane, which is about to become a Category 4 hurricane as we get into, I believe, early next week. So, just got to watch out for those big waves for sure out here in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. That's going to be a huge reason why we're seeing these impacts, and then maybe even the outer bands. But I guess you aren't really seeing those outer bands yet. I think it could definitely start raining, though, in these islands pretty soon. So I'm going to be looking at now our 5-day cone. This is our 5-day outlook from the National Hurricane Center. You can see we're expecting this to become a major hurricane. Well, actually, it is a major hurricane, but a Category 4 major hurricane somewhere around really early Monday morning. Okay, so we get into tomorrow. It's going to enter that phase of rapid intensification. So I do think that we will see Category 4 hurricane as soon as just after 2 p.m. tomorrow, and then we see the storm continuing up until around I guess this would be around Tuesday. So we're getting into very early Tuesday morning, and it starts curving north. This is where our cone of uncertainty is marked. Okay, I think that's I think that's just a good decision from the National Hurricane Center to mark this as our cone of uncertainty, because we still don't know, where exactly the storm's going to go at this point. All right, but Bermuda, you guys aren't in the cone for now, but I think you will be pretty soon. But gotta watch out still for this area up here to see where the storm's going after that. If it's going to go more or less out to sea, or if it's going to try and impact the United States, the Northeast, and then maybe even Nova Scotia. But now we'll look at we'll compare the latest GFS and the latest Euro here. So starting out with the GFS has been pretty good lately. It's been on its game lately, and the 18Z run is one of those models or those model runs that have really been showing some just some good idea of what the storm is going to do. So, we don't see overstrengthening with this. We get down to about a 955 millibar hurricane, and then at this point it starts slowing down a lot. This is where we expect things to slow down. We get into Wednesday, it's starting to move north. Okay, here's that trough. It's fairly late to start out with on this trough, and I'll zoom in here. I'll go to the eastern U.S. All right, just so we can get a better look at things here. Alright, so here's our trough here. It's picking up the storm. And the storm is still a 956, most likely Category 3 hurricane, alright? So that's going to be something certainly you're going to have to watch, alright? We're getting into Thursday. And it's already getting picked up by that trough. Bermuda's right here. And it barely misses Bermuda, okay? One thing that's certainly going to hold this storm back from going into the U.S., this is something I want you guys to pay attention to, because there is a very strong area of high pressure that's centered right over the Great Lakes region. All right, this is closer to eastern Michigan. All right, this is going to serve as a brick wall up and down the East Coast for keeping any tropical cyclone out to sea and away from the United States coastline. All right, I mean, it's still a chance that you could get a landfalling hurricane on Maine or even up into New Hampshire or Vermont, but not really anywhere farther south than that. Okay, and so there's also that trough, which is going to pick the storm and try and put it out to sea. There's also some stronger ridging out here, which is going to prevent it from going way out to sea. It's just going to be pretty much middle. That's what we see here. Okay, and so it's leaning towards the idea of the trough. The GFS is leaning towards the idea of the trough picking up and kind of putting it away from the U.S., but it really battles, and it's still a Category 2 hurricane at this point. And we get into, what is this? This is Sunday, so this is a week out from tomorrow, and we still have a 969 Category 2 hurricane, most likely impacting and making a direct hit on Nova Scotia. I think you guys are at a very, very big risk of getting hit. I mean, you guys in Nova Scotia, I don't want you guys to be freaking out. I'm just telling you, you guys have a pretty good shot at getting hit here. But even our friends out here in Newfoundland, you guys could certainly get hit as well. It's just a matter of how long the storm is going to, hold on to its fuel. I think it could impact you guys out there as a tropical storm, maybe a tropical depression, but I doubt that you're going to get a hurricane out of this because first of all, it makes a landfall over some land that's not as warm, and those waters that's to travel over out here in the Atlantic Canadian waters are frigid. Okay, they're very cold, so it's it doesn't seem right for a hurricane to hit Newfoundland, but you just gotta continue watching everything. All right, so that's the GFS. All right, that's the 18Z GFS. All right, this is the latest Euro. This is our 12-0 here, and so starting out, you can see that the Euro, it is, let me see, let me go back here. I want to get rid of this sounding. 1 second. All right, so our Euro here showing a 978 millibar. This would probably be a Category 1 hurricane. So right off the bat, you can tell the Euro is not, this is definitely under-strengthening the system. But then it quickly gets going here. We get to a 949 millibar hurricane, pretty much just 24 hours out from now. We're getting into now Sunday night. All right, we're getting into 8 a.m. Sunday, and we have a full-on Category 2, Category 3 hurricane. All right, and then let's get into Monday here, and we have a 940 millibar, most likely Category 4 hurricane. All right, this is a very strong hurricane. And then we get down to 927 millibars. So The European model wants this storm to become a Category 5 hurricane once again by Monday. All right, so this is interesting to see that the Euro is holding on to the idea this will re-strengthen into a Category 5 hurricane once again. All right, so I mean this most likely will be wrong. I doubt that this will become a Category 5 hurricane, but this is showing a shot at doing that. All right, and I don't want to be surprised. I don't want you guys to be surprised if this happens. I, for one, will not be surprised if this re-strengthens to a Category 5 hurricane. I'm just not expecting it to, alright? And so, now this gets down to a 924, 919 millibar full-on Category 5 hurricane. So, according to the latest Euro, we could have a Category 5 hurricane for a few days, alright? Because we're going from, this is the middle of the night, Sunday night. We're getting into Tuesday. We still have a full-on high-end category. There isn't even such thing as a high-end Category 5. We just have an extremely dangerously strong Category 5 hurricane. Literally, it's bearing down on the Bahamas, but it starts gaining altitude. It starts moving north. You can see it's a 910 millibar Category 5 monster out there. All right, 913, 915. Very close to making a landfall on the Bahamas, and then it starts moving north. But it takes a long time for the storm to get where it's going to go. We go all the way from, let's say, 72 hours out to about 114 hours out. So this is over 30. This is pretty much around 30 hours out. We see almost no movement of the system. All right. So this is going to take a long time for the storm to start moving north, but the Euro is pretty much a day behind the GFS on the timing of the system. All right, and so we finally see the storm weakening a little bit. Probably still a high-end Category 4, maybe a low-end Category 5 at this point. It starts moving north. All right, we'll switch over to our Eastern U.S. panel to look at things closer to home here. All right. And so we're getting to, this is Friday of about a week out. All right, and the storm, it's a 944 millibar, probably a Category 4 hurricane at this point. All right, and it's moving north, taking that path north. But notice how that high pressure, it's way farther east, all right? That could definitely push the storm way out to sea. So you're thinking, oh, all right, so the Euro's probably just going to show the storm go out to sea. It's not that bad. But watch this high pressure right here, okay? There's also going to be some upper level winds that we're going to talk about in a minute. That the Euro is showing the upper level winds catching, holding on to Leigh, catching it, okay? And then kind of moving like this, okay? That's going to also show a scenario that would support potentially a northeastern landfall. But quickly, this high pressure, it goes, from here to up here in New Hampshire and Vermont, and then it vanishes, all right? And all of a sudden, the doors are unlocked, and they're wide open for the storm to plow right into southern New England, and it does just that, all right? And here it goes. It makes a landfall right on southern New England. We'll even zoom into the northeast to get better look at things here. All right. And so this makes a direct hit on southern New England. And, you're talking about places near like Long Island, New York City, southern New Hampshire, southern Massachusetts, southern Connecticut, just that entire area. It's a direct hit of a 962 millibar Category 2, most likely hurricane. And then it moves on out into Canada and Maine, still has a 980, most likely a low-end Category 1 hurricane. So this is pretty much a worst-case scenario, okay? That's one of the worst-case scenarios. I doubt that this is going to happen, number one, entirely, and number two, it's, if this, let's say this were to not be the exact case, but it was tweaked a little bit, all right? I think that we would see the storm take a more of an easterly path here instead of going right up and uppercutting the southern New England coastline. I think it would kind of go like that. All right, let me get rid of that arrow. That was a terrible arrow. Sorry about that. I think we would see a path more or less like this. All right, because that high pressure is going to be localized up here. All right, and so that is going to probably, if this were to happen, it'd be going down, digging down into this area here. All right, and the storm, it can't really can't really go like this and then go like that. I mean, I guess it could, but it would have to go way out here. All right, and I just don't think it's going to be far enough west to be able to do that. So I think the only path for it to really take is to go. It's trying to avoid this high pressure. All right, there is some lingering high pressure out here. All right, there's some ridging out here, so it's trying to avoid that. It cuts across the Cape Cod area and the Massachusetts coastline, still receiving the outer bands of the system out here in southern New England, and then it goes out to sea, potentially hitting Nova Scotia on the way. All right, this could be one of the scenarios based off the latest Euro. Okay, if this were to be tweaked, then we would probably get something like that. All right, this is going to change, and I doubt that this is the correct information. This is certainly going to change, though. That's one thing for sure. But this just shows us that there's I wouldn't say strong signal, but there is a definitely substantial signal for a potential landfall on the northeastern United States. All right, just got to watch out for that. But then the storm, and it goes right through, and then it also at this point it's probably a high-end tropical storm impacting now parts of southeastern Canada. So you guys could also definitely be at risk if the storm goes in, even if the storm moves into the northeast. All right, so that's the latest Euro run. All right, so we move on to the GFS to look at where our ridging is here, how high our pressure is. And so you can see here, well, starting out, we have Leigh right here. It's kind of moving with that high pressure, that ridging in front of it. So the high pressure is still there all the way up until Monday. All right, we're getting to Monday, and it's weak. All right, it's not that strong. But notice how it retracts. All right, we're getting into Tuesday, and it allows Leigh to move into this region closer to the United States. But at the same time, this trough is swinging by, all right? And so it's going to be moving kind of like this, all right? And so Leigh is right there. It's moving very, very slowly. So it's most likely going to get the bottom tip of the bottom end, I should say, of this trough. But you'd think that Leigh's probably going to be too far south to get picked up by the trough. So you're probably wondering, like, what's going to happen now? But the trough begins to grow and strengthen, all right? And it begins to move in that direction. And right here, it picks up Leigh. This is by Thursday, it picks up Leigh. And that ridging is definitely a lot farther east than what the latest Euro has been saying, all right? And so Leigh gets picked up by the system. But then look at this. Notice how the trough, it almost disappears completely right into this ridging. This ridging doesn't move fast enough, so the trough kind of gets swallowed up by the ridging, and all of a sudden, I mean, if Leigh, let's say Leigh is down here at this point, and this is what the picture is, okay, Leigh is definitely gonna have a chance, a good one, to maybe make a path like this, all right, because you can see that's pretty much the neutral zone, and that's where these tropical cyclones want to go. All right, so this might be one of those concerning GFS runs, all right? Because you're seeing a hurricane very close to the United States, and we get a bare miss of a direct impact on the Massachusetts coastline, all right? And then this impacts Nova Scotia, all right? This is 180 hours out, still way too far out to really say much about what the forecast could be. But I'm just saying here that I would say the 18Z run for the GFS and the Euro have been pretty concerning to me towards, U.S. impacts and Nova Scotia impacts. All right, but that is the latest GFS run. All right, so this is just based off of the just the ridge, where the ridging is, where that low pressure and that troughing is, and then just the regular neutral zone. All right, So now we look at our upper level wind streams here. These are our upper level winds that will be pushing the storm here. All right, I want you to notice one more thing though. This anticyclonic flow. It is an absolutely massive area that this thing is covering. All right, this is serving as pretty much a brick wall, or I wouldn't say brick wall, but it's serving as a dome surrounding. All right, the storm, surrounding the storm, and it's pretty much protecting the storm and not allowing any uh, dry air to be sucked in by Leigh. All right, so it's only allowing moist air and just a lot of air that supports and favors some more convection and thunderstorm buildup, and then also some more development and strengthening of the system. All right, but it's a very big area, so that's just going to gulp up more and more moisture and allowing the most moisture possible for Leigh to absorb. All right, and so here it goes. Leigh is now beginning to move north, and then it gets caught up by the trough here. These are our troughing winds. They're going to be very, very strong because that trough is very, very strong. These are winds that are about 45,000 feet in the air, and they are blowing at over 120 knots or around 130 miles an hour. All right. So these are very strong upper level winds. And then we see this purple expand across the northeast. So you must be thinking, oh no, what is going to happen here? Because the storm looks like it's going to get caught up by these winds, and it could go like that. All right? And so, yeah, that could certainly be, well, this looks like this could definitely be what could happen. But it's not far west enough to impact the United States, which is the best thing possible here. We do not want the United States to get hit, but at the same time, we don't want Nova Scotia to get hit. But in this specific model around Nova Scotia would be at a huge, huge risk of getting hit. And that's pretty much what it does. It slightly, it misses those stronger winds that would accelerate the storm, but it does make some sort of a landfall on Nova Scotia, and then Newfoundland as well. Wow, 978 still a Category 1 hurricane. So it's interesting to see what the GFS says. All right, now let's look at the Euro. The Euro has a different some sort of a different placement of where our trough is going to be, where our high pressure is going to be, but also where our storm is going to be. All right. So we finally get to this point here. We're getting into Friday of next week here, and our trough it's right here. It's farther north and it's weaker. All right. And right off the bat, you can tell that those stronger winds of the trough, they're not stretching down far enough to really pick up the storm. And what's also helping, the storm getting closer to the United States coast is because these first initial winds that pick up the storm, they're moving in this direction, alright? And let's say the storm barely gets caught up by just those southerly winds, alright? That they help it take it into a northwestern direction, alright? That takes it into this direction. But at the same time, it's strong enough to become detached from the trough, and that trough kind of, goes out to sea and does its own thing. And so then, the trough, it gets pretty much absorbed by this high pressure up here. This 929, very strong high pressure ridging out here, and it flattens out. This trough completely flattens out, and it pretty much does nothing with the storm except just pushes these winds up north, and that pretty much plows the storm right into southern New England. All right, this is the setup that would support a worst case scenario. All right, we do not want this to happen. This is the opposite of what we want to happen. We want this ridging to be pretty much right here. All right, and we want the storm to go out to sea as much as possible. All right, that would be the best case scenario. But the latest Euro shows worst case scenario, which is pretty interesting because the Euro has been showing the storm going out to sea a lot today, but right up until the 12Z run, where we finally see a land. Well, I wouldn't say finally, but we see a model run supporting a landfalling hurricane on the southern New England coastline. So just something to keep in mind, something to watch. But we move on to these are our European ensembles here. All right. mean, most of the members, they still have this thing plowing into Nova Scotia or just going out to sea. You know, you probably have a few of them, maybe 10 or so of them, taking this thing out to sea. Alright? And they've got the majority and the most of these members taking this into Nova Scotia but missing the United States. And then 5 or so of these going into the Northeast. And this is the one, this is our 18Z run. Alright? Right here. That is our current, 12Z run. That's our current 12Z European run that we got right now. Alright? So there's still 3 areas that you're gonna have to watch. Alright? One thing that also is scary is that, believe it or not, Bermuda is like right here. Alright, Bermuda is right in the middle. It's smack dab in the middle of all these tracks here, all these members. Alright? That is something we're going to have to watch. For any of you on Bermuda, I want you guys to literally start preparing for the storm right as I speak. I mean, I think there will be changes with the forecast, but I am very confident that Bermuda is going to at least get hit pretty hard by some heavy rain, very strong winds, likely over tropical storm force, and some huge waves. I think we're really going to see some major impacts towards Bermuda, and then the rest for like Nova Scotia and the northeastern U.S. It's uncertain as for now, but we gotta just continue watching every update we get on the storm. All right. So for the last part of the update, just want to look at the latest GFS run for just the entire wide view of the tropics. Just looking at what tropical waves have the chance to develop. All right, and so here we go. We have Leigh right here, and we have what is that, Margot? All right, right there, Margot and Leigh doing their thing up in the Atlantic. All right, and then here we go. This is Invest 97L, I believe. All right, let's see what it does. All right, so drifting in that same area, pretty much the same exact area that Leigh went through. All right, so these waters would definitely be a lot cooler, just because Leigh had pretty much absorbed all that moisture that those waters have created. So let's say that these waters are pretty much tired. All right, so they can't really support as much tropical development and strengthening as they did for Leigh. Alright? And so the storm, it still gets very strong. It's a Category 3, Category 4 hurricane at this point, but you notice how it avoids these waters and begins to head north. Alright? It's doing that thing that we're seeing from many tropical systems, that they head north away from those waters. Alright? Just how Margot did. Alright? And it moves north, continues moving north, and it's an abrupt turn this way. It's pretty weird to see a storm go like this, and then start going like this, and then kind of like that, alright? But you're thinking, oh no, alright, this is heading right towards the US, and you're thinking like, what is this doing? But that same trough, I think, yeah, this is that same trough, believe it or not, that picked up Leigh, now begins to pick up maybe a future hurricane that we're going to get here. And it pretty much saves our lives out here for you folks tuning in from Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. Alright? And that high pressure, too, it pretty much helps. It's in between both of you guys, perfectly placed. And so you pretty much have the perfect setup for the storm to pretty much miss everybody. So I really think that this one could be just a fish storm. Alright? According to the latest GFS one. Alright? And then it pretty much just gets picked up by that storm. But this next system is going to be something you gotta watch. Just because it could potentially get into a region we don't want it to and take that track that we don't want it to, and that's something we're gonna have to watch in future updates here. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for coming to watch. We'll see you guys in the next video. So just gotta continue watching Leigh. I don't want to scare you guys here about the storm looking more favorable for the storm to hit the United States. And again, it's been back and forth like windshield wipers, alright? Back and forth between the idea that the US will get hit or Nova Scotia. So just gotta watch every single update and information we get on the storm, and I'll just continue doing these updates, these daily updates on the storm for you guys. So make sure you tune in for most of them, and just don't be scared, be prepared, and we'll see you guys in the next video. So thank you for coming to watch, and we'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow.